Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Poem Jam. We're about to start. I'm John Smalley, and I'm a librarian with the Humanities Center in the Public Library. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our community and to tell you about a few upcoming programs. On behalf of the Public Library, we wish to welcome you to the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this territory, in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place. As guests, we who reside in their territory recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Is the microphone working? Not entirely. It is. Great. So this is part of the Poem Jam series, which takes place on the second Thursday of each month. Tonight's program is. It is also part of our Everybody's Climate program series in July, a series that we hope will inspire everyone to act on behalf of a safer, greener, and more sustainable future. I want to mention just a few programs that are coming up in the next few days. This Saturday at 11 a.m., we have an online program called From Solito to Solidarity. That's an international panel that will discuss how to process climate grief and anxiety, resolve conflict, and sort of move forward together. On Sunday, across the way in the Garnet Auditorium at 1:30, there'll be a remarkable concert by the Echo composer Cheryl E. Leonard, and she uses recordings of ice in the Antarctica, also the European glacier, and some of the frozen ice lakes in Yosemite National Park to give voice to nature. And she combines this with a live performance. So that should be really interesting. I said that's at 1:30. Actually, it's at 1 p.m. It's only 1 hour, so you should come at 1 p.m., not 1:30. Then at 3:30 in this room, we have a workshop called Finding Your Place in the Climate Justice Movement. So if you're wondering what one person can do, come to the workshop and find out, starting from wherever you are. The only way to tackle this is really moving forward together. That's it for announcements of events. And also we have another, let's also include next Thursday, we have another poetry reading headlined by Kim Shuck and Molly Fisk, California Fire and Water. So that's going to be an awesome poetry reading. Please do come back for that, 6 p.m. in this room. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the microphone Kim Shuck, who is the host of the long-running Poem Jam series. Please give a warm welcome to Kim.
I've got to say, it's so cool to see so many faces I know, and I'm really glad to have you all here. This is a particular pleasure, this book. We've been so deep in it for the last week, it's a little hard to even talk about it. Those of you who do publishing know what I'm talking about. It's at this point, we're like, somebody else come look at this and tell me what we've missed. Is there a really glaring misspelling here that I haven't caught? Do we remember to mention all of the poets whose work is in here? And it's like, but I'm really glad to have you here. It's also just a spectacular lineup of poets. So this should be great. I'm starting on a slightly somber note because on Sunday we lost Toby Kaplan. And I'm going to read one of her poems from her last book, Ritual Desire, which is an incredible book. Invisible cities, city of rejected mirrors, light abandoned offices where thorns of berry brambles spill through wire fences into schoolyards, scattering papers, lost longhorns grazing by the freeway. City of denied old houses spoiled on the edge of the mall, a busy planet. As children carry baskets, they hurry into fields of flowers, city of flies and whirring fans. The heat of cities interlocked with grassy lawns, unscheduled shopping, and car crashes near parking lots where people play accordion and piano. City of wine drinkers, discarded, homeless, burnt out RVs. Dumps, army snipers, schoolyard lovers who float like icebergs past whispers and scaffolds framed around a city of airports, and mothers baking where windows look over the scraggly brush and their kids go down to the creek, sink into a cool canyon. City of answers in the long trench of sky and passion, maps and towers. City of curved roads leading up into hills, trails leading behind the factories and the breaking of light bulbs, the trestle of old El Camino, frothing lace weed, trekkers hike into midday sun city memories, floating clouds and heat and dusty. Hold a thought for Toby. Thank you so much. We had her as a guest at this reading series. In April. So that's videoed and up on the library YouTube channel and is accessible in that way. But on to slightly more cheerful material. if climate change and things that are happening to water could be said to be actually cheerful, some of it is. I'm going to introduce Sarah Beal, who I met in 2005. We have been friends for 20 years. And the first thing we did together was make a book with Carla. And let's see, who else is here that was also part of that? Maybe nobody. Maybe nobody. It was the three of us and some other people. And water was in that book too, because it was in response to the way that New Orleans had badly mismanaged the infrastructure and the breaking of the levees. I refuse to blame the weather for that. Indifference is not weather, it's indifference. But anyway, it's been 20 years and we're doing another book. Please welcome Sarah Beal up to the mic.
Thank you, Kim. Wow, yeah, 20 years. Kim and Carla and I. Wow. Well, and thank you again. Thank all of you for coming. It's really always really exciting to have a first reading for a new anthology. So I'm so excited to be here. We actually should have books in about a month. I did put a little notepad over on that table. So if you're not on Colossus's mailing list, please just give us your name and your email, and we will send you a little note when we actually have books in our hands. And I guess I was thinking about this reading and this book and this whole process. And one of the things that came up for me so much is how much water is about connection. Water connects our entire planet, and it's part of every living thing on the planet. I even Googled, it's part of viruses even. So from humans to every animal, plant, even viruses. And I've been thinking so much lately with all that's happening in the world the last few years that we need to focus so much more on connection, because connection is what will bring us through this. There are a lot of energies that want to divide us, but connecting is the most important thing. So on that note, I wanted to thank some amazing people. I have to thank Kim for all this work that we've done together as one of my co-editors, and also Elisa Salison, who can't be with us tonight, but is also very much a co-editor and all three of us were working together really hard on this book, and we absolutely could not have done it without Doug Solon and all the amazing work on the laying out of this book, and just hours and hours working together. And I know Kim and Doug also working when I wasn't with them or on the phone with them. So thank you so much. And I also want to thank Riley O'Connell, who was involved with Colossus in the past, and she is an amazing copy editor and finder of mistakes, and she found a ton. And I also want to thank Francis, who came in at the last couple days and found still more. And thank you, you guys, because you are, I think, as Kim was saying, after we've been reading the same thing over and over again, you just kind of get blind and you're like seeing your idealized version of something rather than what actually is there. And fresh eyes are so helpful and so valuable. And I also thought I would just give a little brief talk about the nonprofit, and 75% of the funds from selling Colossus Current will go to a nonprofit called Holy H2O. They are a local Bay Area nonprofit, and their mission is to strengthen the relationship that Californians have with our watersheds. And I just think that's a beautiful idea, because we are in relationship with this planet, and as well as with every creature on it. And so focusing on strengthening that relationship is really important. So thank you all for coming, and let's hear poetry.
So I've been listening to and publishing and reading with and learning about poetry with Carla Schick for a few years now. Carla is really an amazing poet, and please welcome Carla to the microphone.
I'm very honored to be here and among such wonderful writers and poets, and I'm so honored to be in this anthology and to participate in this. I don't usually write a lot of poems about water, but I had one poem in there, and I have another poem that I may or may not read. We'll see how the time goes. I'm going to start out with a short poem called English Contortions, and it will speak for itself. English Contortions. The subject disappeared. Too many erasures. Can no longer burn your hand, holding a magnifying glass over ants. How do we learn so young such cruelty? If no subject berates you, will you stop being an object, discarded? I let the ego drop off the time I fell from my bicycle, balancing between verbs and nouns. How to lose my New York working class accent, clawing at my teeth. This accent I never wanted to lose. Let's see, this poem, which I hadn't planned to read, but when you were talking about water, I figured I should read more poems about water. So this is a poem that I wrote when I was in Sharon Coleman's poetry writing class at Berkeley City College to a video. So it's kind of an ekphrastic, I guess. And it was also, the title was inspired by a piece of art I saw talking about destruction. And it said, I called it the poem, because they could, they destroyed. Clothes draped like thinning bodies become wings. Let me start over. Clothes draped like thinning bodies become wings draped over our home. Stucco, cement, aging, wooden frame, windows and doors cracked at the joints, swept away. Winds obliterate words we left in mourning, warm oats and sugar melting. Ponds, rivers, seas overflow with dying fish, entangled seaweed strands, a mesh of orange and green, loose driftwood traps, tar and dead mussels, strands of hair, metal shards, shredded sheets, a bicycle pedal, a child's shoe, fake gold barrettes. We run barefoot through the rooms we can no longer claim. The earth still revolves, the earth still tilts. A fisherman, his back bent, paddles his boat, searching for hand, grasping for clarity through murky waters, peeking beneath fallen houses, our splintered cells cannot see centuries of destruction, still stealing our breath. So I think I was thinking a lot about in Louisiana, but also in times of crisis, how people come out and help each other too, and risk their lives to save other people. So the next poem I'll read is in the anthology. It's called At Jabalia Refugee Camp, 1985. And I haven't been in Gaza since 1985. And as we know, things are awful. And some people I know have gone on various missions and have been part of various programs. But I learned a lot by being there. And one of the things I learned is that the conditions for what are happening now started way, way long ago. And that is important to remember, I think. So it's at Jabalia Refugee Camp, 1985. A young Palestinian girl takes my hand, leads me to her family's patio, points to the camera attached to my backpack, gestures with her hand to snap her photo for eternity. I had remembered a teen smiling, embracing her brothers, her toddler brother roaming in the patio, workroom, play area. Decades later, I discover the photo she begged me to take, her eyes squinting into light slanting through the door, her deep eyes adrift in a sorrow I can't touch. Hand over her mouth, an ancient Ringer washing machine in the background, her two brothers sitting by her side against the dull green-gray wall without refuge. Outside the camp, bulldozers labeled USA knock down huge chunk of plaster walls, a home. But without the proper papers, an entire family stands outside watching. No one can fathom the sea, sparkling, so close to us as we gather together in this dust of occupation. And I'm going to read one more, and it's called Visiting My Friend's Grandfather Who Fought in the Russian Revolution. His tiny room crammed with aging furniture, with photos of his wife and his daughter, do not press in on his bones, only that no one bothers to visit him. I sit by his side with his granddaughter as he pokes at me with his cane, nods his head, go home, tell my daughter how I live, and pretends to jab me again. I can't tell him that his daughter won't talk with me because his granddaughter and I are girlfriends. Maybe loneliness begins with lies, burrowed deep in the heart, where hatred and fear grow as strangling vines. He likes to tell long, winding tales of how he fought the Tsar's army, how all the Jews were rounded up, trapped in starving shtetls, those icy winter mornings when his finger remained stiff, not even warm by curling his hand around a glass of tea, sugar cube lodged between his front teeth to sweeten the first light. He fought in the Russian Revolution and calls me comrade. He still calls himself a communist, peering down the halls of an old age home where he imitates the swagger of a man 20 years younger than him. He fought alongside the Bolsheviks, hoping the bloodletting would lessen, believing his work aimed for the common good, Lenin, Trotsky, those names bring a shine to his eyes. Stalin was the man he needed to escape by foot through countries he'd never seen before, from Ukraine to Romania, in forests so thick the sun didn't filter between the leaves. He always had to look behind to see which soldiers might be following him. He came to Palestine, and his wife refused to speak any language but Russian, believing they would return home one day. He yearns for the friendships of his youth, fighting together, building roads, jostling, playing. But he lives in a heat, this Tel Aviv stolen city heat, reminding him he is lost far from his birthplace. I sit with him, becoming a part of his history, a man who fled to Palestine, a land he never believed was his, always true to his communist origins. He declared himself an anti-Zionist. He didn't desire property. He just needed a place to run to, not a country. But he built these roads in this country he didn't believe was his, tarred over Palestinian villages whose cities, Balad el-Sheikh, Deir Yassin, Lid, Ramla, names he had once enunciated, now dynamited. Maybe loneliness begins with the denial that our hands have molded a landscape from mythologies, trying to ease the gnawing questions. Have we become like the Tsar soldiers whose horses trampled our ancestors' bodies? I spoke with a man who fought in the Russian Revolution, 1917, but I am 2 generations away from that struggle, and I rest my hand in the warm power of Zahira Kamal, Palestinian teacher, leader, living under town arrest. She cannot leave her home to teach her students. She cannot be out past evening. She shows me photos of women in Gaza planting seeds, building playgrounds, teaching their children how to read and recite their histories, their family lineages. Our heads bend together, looking over plans for projects, the women's work committees, and we gather her memories of Palestinian streets, the sweet smells of sugared Arabic coffee, villages, warriors, to fuel the coming revolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Our next reader is Jennifer Barone, about whom I will say that Jennifer is a ray of sunshine in human form and helps us understand, and people nod because they know, and helps us understand the power of joy. Please come up to the mic. Welcome to the mic, Jennifer Barone.
I'm also from Brooklyn, so I'm down with keeping the New York regional accent alive. I got a poem about it that I'll share with you later. Yeah, both sides of my family were from around Naples. So I've been writing a lot about the sea and also, traveling there quite a bit to be in the sea. So I have a lot of poems about water. So this is from my recent trip. Mar Tirreno. I was not made for land alone. The sea wants to embrace me again. I feel its pull in between thoughts. The waters of my body speak in heart waves. Tears come never stopping. My body longs for the sea, and she calls me in return. Mar Tirreno, half moon, the deepest blue. She sings the siren song of my grandmothers, cradles me as I watch divers descend into the rocky cove. I enter and let her waters engulf me as I swim. Waves slowly rise above my head and the water pulls back so strongly, my feet touch ancient boulders at the bottom of her seabed. Like reoccurring dreams I've had where I'd save father, mother, sister, brother from violent waves. But who is here to save me now? No one sees me struggling in overwhelming waters that rise to claim their daughter. My heart cries silently, reaches into the blue where all the fears I suppress rise to greet me at the surface. I pray until I hear her answer. Like a god outside the womb cave, she says, remember, you are the sea. You descend from sirens. You are the water made from this water. This is your sea. This is where you belong. When I remember, my heart calms and I begin to float as the swells in the cove soften around me and caress my body, rocking me like a babe in the arms of her mother. This poem is in the collection called Colossus. It's called Nymphaeum, and it's actually about, I went to see an ancient spring that you can visit and be under the waters. Is built during Greek times on the island of Ischia, and people brought ex votos, beautiful pieces of art to thank the water for the healing properties. So this is called Nymphaeum. What can I bring to thank you for the water? Cleansing my mind with rosemary, clearing my heart as it pours over me. This water travels deep from the core of the earth to the surface. What can I bring you for this fire and water? I thank you with my body. I add my tears to the salty outpour of the spring. All spectrums of light shower me in rotating colors and geometries. The nymphs are present in the sun, their wings outstretched around my shoulders. Soft grass offers ethereal tenderness. The air caresses me as I walk, in wafting lavender, sage, and lemon. How can I reveal what is subtle and unseen, or sing what is quietly being whispered? When the breeze speaks, we are being blessed by the land, recognized for the resonance of presence, the pleasure of our body restored. This memory lasts so long and leaves me wondering, how can I thank you? New Earth. Volcanoes around the world are erupting. We forget, under millions of years, a hardened crust caked with ice. Underneath, we are still burning, hot fire spiraling around an iron core. My body, formed by a volcano, Vesuvio, lies dormant now above Pompeii and many towns around its border. Right now, they are evacuating people around Pozzuoli as the supervolcano under the sea begins to rise and fall, the pressure of hot magma boiling deep below. This place thought to be the gates of hell, Lake Avernus, the steaming crater that killed flocks of birds. Underground caverns where the oracle wrote her visions in verse on scattered oak leaves. Underneath, we are bursting with something raw that needs to express itself, come to light at the surface. Under concrete crusts of city streets, the earth is trembling, breaking apart. The islands are forming new islands. How silly to think that everything is permanent. We hold onto form with stubborn strength of will. Even love will not stay the same. Our lives built on trembling ground. Everything is bursting at the seams. Dots of fire spiral across the deep blue sea. My heart beats furiously without warning, impatient for a new world to emerge. I leave you alone after it rained. I said, I wonder if we'll see a rainbow. The only two left standing on the secluded cove, except for the seagulls and bright green lizards that scatter as you walk. Probably not until morning, you reply. I'm learning that a smile is never innocent. It will tear you apart, except it happens subtly, grows in its power at each kindness and eventual suffering. You watch me from afar at the edge of the staircase, hidden in the dark, as I sleep on a blanket in the sun, my feet dangling off the ledge. I undo my ponytail as lovers come and go reading books, looking at their phones instead of watching the sea. What do you think of every day? Staring across the waves, watching boats go back and forth, the ancient island bubbling in its volcanic underbelly. I notice every plant and wildflower that grows like hair emerging from the cliffs. I notice a black stone among the white ones and gather it in my hands, wondering where it came from, volcanic pumice that glitters in the sun. You descend from your perch to bring me a large shell, thinking I was looking for one, and place it in my hands. But there are no shells in this cove, only stones and colorful sea glass. I was not looking for a shell that revealed you were watching me, just as I was not looking for love, but it found me anyway. Last one. Rialto Fish Market. I got a chance to go to Venice this time. Across the eyes of Branzino and the long nose of the swordfish, my eyes move toward your hands, carving delicate peach strips of fish flesh in slow motion, as if there were no deadlines in existence or past due dates. You take your time, one long, slow cut along the lines of delicate bones. You design each piece and lay it softly over glassine paper. Someone's dinner somewhere waits. But here, time is timeless, endless. I wonder how many days and years have gone by, how many fish you've lovingly cleaned and filleted, how many hearts are discarded in the wake of your touch. Or do you go home and hold your wife as tenderly? Do you pay as much attention to each curve of her form? Or does she swim between your fingers back into the vast sea if you look away? Thanks. Thank you so much, Sarah and Kim, for including beautiful collection. I'm so excited. Thank you.
I have to tell you, it's so good. Like, no, we're the ones who've seen the whole thing, but it's so good. And it's really good because we have really great poets for friends. Like the people we know, the folks that got reached by our yeah, Kim Shuck, that got reached by our call for entries are just, this community is amazing. It's really amazing. It's such a good book. Our next poet, I was trying to think of something else to say about Tanish. But what I'm going to say about Tanish is that she's one of the bravest poets I know. That there's a lot of exposure that happens. It's like, I think I just remember thinking in the early days of my laureateship when there was a lot more scrutiny, and which wasn't always delightful. Like, I wish I could just borrow about that much of Tanisha's bravery because some of it was pretty harrowing. Anyway, please welcome this incredible poet up to the microphone.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited to read this book and be included and be here today. So I'm beginning with this one that's in the collection, Romancing the Sea. When the sea beckons you closer, closer, you come hither in a trance. You prance a fever dance. Stand your bare toes in damp sand towards the horizon, waiting, begging, for a salty kiss of an undulating wave. Will it come? When? And it does, soon, in seconds. And your shrieking laughter once more. But the shivering water one time is enough to quench your thirst. You sit on stone steps, light a smoke when the free breeze lets you there, brush off grains of stubborn sand from grateful feet and wonder what the seagulls know. And then the second one is my last one. Thank you. It's an excerpt from a longer essay, and the title is different, but today I think it's called Adapting. I washed my clothes. It's nonfiction, so it happened. I washed my clothes in a creek near Russian River like an Indian peasant would along the Ganges. A raptor circled closer than it ever had along the hike as I bent over at the waist in my underwear and thin shirt, scrubbing mud cakes from my jeans and my boysenberry colored sweater. Cheered on by a black phoebe, into the ravine I went. The raptor over and above, so far over, so far above, floating, still, made the moving, billowing clouds seem all the faster. The creek was flowing with a week or two's, a month's worth of rain, maybe 6 inches deep, maybe 20 feet wide. If you stopped to sit, listen, it could lull you to sleep among the trees, forest green. I, however, was charged with wonder. The boulder stones sat so invitingly across the width. Before the creek splintered into two, this crossing paled in comparison to the one I had done near Puyuapi along Chile's Carretera Austral. Granted, then we were more than a dozen, crossing with a professional, holding hands to form a human chain. And I had hiking boots then, not these mesh shoes, which showed my unpreparedness. This crossing went fine and fed my insatiable thirst for more. Squish, squish, splat, slip, unsteady ground, the road less traveled, but ahead there were steps made of large flat stones, weathered by rain and promising sure-footedness. Up I went, and up after the stones stopped, and things got tricky hopping to the higher trail when I couldn't step assuredly anymore, up and up to the turnstile gate, which read, "Trail closes here, hike at own risk." The risk, okay. There's a couple, a page and a half more. The risk getting there was enough to turn me around toward the ravine, and I stepped a little less carefully, going back into the known, found myself on the upper trail above the stone steps, and more impulsively I wanted to get there, and the steps downhill turned into slides, which so quickly became a banana peel slip straight onto my back. Getting up was a precarious thing, as was the descent, crossing the creek as well. The urge was there recurring, to throw it all away and fall in haphazardly, lose will. But the nature of the world and the nature of nature, the nature of water, how I chose to go in. I did and couldn't quit now. How I honored my inner child and the Black Phoebe and how fun it was. How I couldn't abandon them or myself now just because I fell. How really Falling was inevitable given all the signs and signage. In short, the principles of true resilience and self-determination, those things I had to learn but was never taught, caused a calm chain of thoughts reminding me, leading me to my goal, the dinner reservation later, the pristine view along the sea as told by online photos. It was around or nearing 3 o'clock and I had time. People float in Russian River all the time. No one was around, not a soul blank enough, blank meaning any adjective, including dumb, risky, adventurous, ill-informed, ill-prepared, etc. Blank enough, but for me, Raptor, Rent-It, and Phoebe. Highway 1 not in sight for a few hundred yards back, and even still a steep fenced-off barrier between trail and road. And then the flash of the peasants in the Ganges, one of the most polluted rivers in the world, and yet springboarded me into movement, and I stripped, growing surer with each article I removed, starting with muddy, feather-filled puffer tote bag. Assessing the damage, I washed sweater first, bent over, doing what needed to be done like a mother would, changing a blowout diaper. This is it. This is life. Doing what needs doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Denise. Our next reader is Carla Brundage. And we met doing good work. And Carla has continued to do incredibly good work consistently for the whole time I've known her. She's also a kick-ass poet. Please welcome Carla to this microphone.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Sarah. I'm honored to be here. Time allowed it to happen. I just recently moved to Hawaii, as some people may know, and I wanted to be closer to the ocean. When the call came out of Colossus water, I was super thrilled. So I'm going to read 2 poems from the collection. And the first one I'm going to read is about Hurricane Katrina, hearkening back to Words Upon the Water, our project together. And I wrote it in form. It's in a pantoum. So it's a little different for me. Katrina came to New Orleans in catastrophic force. A merry party girl, she wreaked havoc on old structures, tossing over old lovers like worn-out shoes, swirling muddy waters into narrow downtown. A tempestuous party girl wreaking havoc on old. She wore a luminescent red-lined petticoat, swirling muddy waters into narrow downtown. From our televisions, we witnessed levees break. She wore a luminescent blood-red petticoat, flooding to roof lines, poles snapped and scattered. From our televisions, we could see levees break. Stranded families climbed to the roof. Flood lines rose to roof lines, poles snapped and scattered. Waves at crashing force moved the whole block. Surging families climbed to the roof. Chaos came bringing the blue and white. Waves at crushing force moved the whole block. TV news reported hands were tied. Chaos came bringing blue and white. Dazzling onlookers frothed with rage. TV news reported hands were tied. The lower Ninth Ward was soon under siege. Heels to sparkle tempted open storefronts, dazzling onlookers who frothed with rage. The lower Ninth Ward was soon under siege, her fury knocking out the floors. What did we do to cause this raging? A wailing emitted from the front line. Katrina's fury knocked on all the doors, trombones, drums, and second line silent. A wailing emitted from the front line. Looting was reported, hands were tied. Trombones, drums, and second line silent. Soldiers, tanks, gun had turned against them. Looting was reported, hands were tied. Leaderless, alone, 1 million or more. Soldiers, tanks, guns had turned against them. The red X death toll rose, no one took count. Leaderless, alone, 1 million or more, as we waited, witnessing a collective cry. The red X death toll rose, no one took count. There was no Band-Aid solution. As we waited, witnessing a collective cry, voices into the din on signs read, "Help me." Katrina came to New Orleans in catastrophic force. A merry party girl, dogs sensed her arrival. Naked on rooftops, levels continued to rise. A collective heartbeat would beat no more. So something a little bit ironic is that August 29th is my birthday, and Katrina hit day. The levee broke the next day, I believe. And so for the next 10 years after we published Words Upon the Waters, we had a fundraiser for the kind of Center for Independent Living in Biloxi at that time to help people get wheelchairs. And so it's just kind of funny, for 10 years I celebrated my birthday on Katrina Day. So the next poem I'm going to read is inspired by some time living in Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa. And I came back, and while I was there, I just have to say I was there until like 2016. So I think Trump, there's some, I can't really remember, but I do know that I wrote home to everybody and was like, if there are any environmental protections in this country, meaning this one, because I was somewhere else, please fight for them, like fight with all your might, because there I was witnessing for the first time, like the t-shirts and like how lucky we are to have clean water. It's like, you can't unknow, you can't know until you unknow clean water. And one last thing I'll say is, as a kid, I was always like reading those like science fiction movie love books. And you know, the girl is a typical scene, the girl walks out and the water's all polluted and she swims anyway. And I was like, I'm gonna be that girl. Like if the water goes, that's gonna be me. I'm still swimming. So this is called About to Break. And it's also in a pantoum form. I don't know what happened, but that's where I went with this. I know. About to break. Angry is the water goddess. Oh, in her H2, she's fighting to keep. Strangled by t-shirts and plastic mess. Abandon the surface for the deep. Oh, in her H2, she's dying to keep. Sonar sound waves about to break. Abandon the surface for the deep. Whales can't sleep, ever awake. Sonar sound waves about to break. A netted turtle, a cry, a whale. Whales can't sleep, ever awake. The moon illuminates a headless tail. Black turtleneck and netted sail. In the latest style I always dress. Spotlight on my headless tail. Angry is the water goddess. So I'm gonna, several times the word ice was mentioned tonight. And it reminded me of this other poem that I decided to read at the last minute because we're talking about like ice in the water, but it's like triggering now, you know? And so I'm like, these words, like people are just changing all of our definitions of words, and it's super frustrating for a poet. So I'm going to end with this poem. It's called, this oldie but goodie, it's called The Revolution Will Be Televised. So the revolution will be televised. Can't you see it's happening right now? Last night was phase 6, shock and awe. Phase 1, destroy the warriors. Define warriors however you want. Our warriors are being taken down one by one. Phase 2, cut out our tongues, change the language, redefine words to have new meanings. Liberal, entitlement, news, apology, fake, real, cloud, footprint, ice. Phase 3, take our religion, give us icons to worship, bow your heads in text, bow your heads in text, replace prayer with. Phase 4, take our land, displace the people. Phase 5, destroy the family unit, undo the matriarchy. Let the women come together for, no, against, no, for, no, against, no, for the safety of our children, born and unborn, our bodies sacred and trampled. Deharmonize love. Phase 6, shock and awe. Replay violent deaths over and over for analysis. Was he really choking? Could he really breathe? Was she really carrying a phone? Was their skirt too short? Did they ask for it? Was his back really turned? Tell kids it's okay to dance on the heads of their dead opponents. Introduce the extreme right. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Ask the extreme left, who's left? The revolution will be televised. Turn off all the lights. Turn them off, keep them on, turn them off, keep them on. Are we running out of water? Are we running out of time? Are we running? Make sure you have a gun. Make sure you have a gun. Lock your doors, lock them tight. The revolution will be televised tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. So right before the show started, Sarah was like, who's going to read the bios? It's like, we don't read bios at this reading. We just say lovely things about people. and the people who are left are sitting over there on the end of that line going, oh no, what's she going to say? It's really hard not to read a bio for Caroline Goodwin because some of the things she's done are so very impressive poetically and in terms of just poetry culture and sort of the way it flops over into academia. But what I will say about Caroline Goodwin is that if you needed to have a friend who would show up in really dramatic moments, this is the one. She's The first question I ever asked her was when she came over to my house for the first time. She sat at my table and I said, "All right, I need to know. You laugh at all the Indian jokes. Why is that? You are not Native." She grew up surrounded by Indigenous people in Alaska, so that was a good answer. I love her work. I love her collages. I love her poetry. I love her person. I love the bones of this woman. Please welcome her to the microphone.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. And to everyone for being here. This is a nice big poem jam, and I'm so privileged to be a part of it and so grateful. I just want to acknowledge the younger of my two kids who's here with me tonight, Izzy, who lives with me. And also just to circle back to the beginning of our night together, water does connect us in a really important way, and so does poetry. And I was just walking in here and just thinking, it's a tough moment, to put it mildly, but being here tonight for me just reminds me that what we do matters. Being together here tonight really matters. It really does. It makes a difference. It's important work, and it doesn't always get the spotlight and the celebration that it deserves. So we just keep doing the work, and Kim is such a force, so much admiration for the fortitude. And this is such a great reading series. I mean, here we are, together. I'm grateful to be a part of this anthology. Anthologies are a crap ton of work. And congratulations to everyone. And thanks to the other poets for sharing the stage. I'm really grateful. And then also just to circle back really quickly to anyone who might have had the privilege of knowing Toby Kaplan, which I did. Toby, whenever I would come away from crossing paths with Toby, I really felt like I had been with someone who loves poetry, who loves talking about it, sharing it, teaching it, writing it, and just having that purpose. So what I want to actually do is just take a moment for Toby. And if you didn't know her, just maybe I'm going to turn on my timer. Maybe we can just think about someone and feel some gratitude. I'd like to just take 1 minute and, maybe just think Toby, if you knew her, or someone like Toby who carries that really genuine and authentic and unwavering enthusiasm for this old and difficult art form that we love because we're here. So just take a minute and breathe. It can be a long minute, but I'm going to start the stopwatch now. Thank you. Okay, that is a full minute. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. And as Kim said, I was very privileged to grow up in in Alaska, and that my mom was also born in Alaska in 1936. Is that me? So it was really great privilege, and still so much to learn always. There's always more to learn, and so I'm grateful. And so I was getting ready to come and read tonight and be with you all, and I looked at the poem that was accepted for the anthology, and it's called Coppice, Coppice, and I was like, well, what even is that? What is that? So I'll tell you what it is. It's British. An area of woodland in which the trees or shrubs or formerly were periodically cut back to ground level to stimulate growth and provide firewood or timber. So another way that we sort of mess with things to get what we need or want from the natural world. So this is the poem that's going to be in the anthology, and thank you again for accepting it, to the editors. Coppice. When the sand hills touch down, they are simple fingertips, or the sting of your absence and salt rot, where the rust-colored bark stands in thin layers, and you call me back through the thicket, bluebells and understory mottled, feathering out like strands of silk in the river valley, Dopplerite, summering or wintering, hydrocarbon found in some peat beds, amorphous and jelly-like when fresh, and elastic when dried, looking like black pitch, latticed branches, and the star-like seed pods of the birches underfoot. Now this path where you and I walked along the lake bed, the rushes here shining. It is evening. It is the last word in the doorframe. At least it is loving, as a thin whistle and sleepy snow, soft and melting, your hand warm again against my cheek. So thank you very much. That is going to be in the anthology, beautiful anthology. I look forward to seeing it. And thanks to everyone for all the work you put into it. I know it's a lot. And I'm just going to read a couple poems from my collection, Madrigals. Sorry, I had it all lined up. Come on. Okay. Snake Time 4, after Moondog song, All Is Loneliness. And Moondog, I'm a big Moondog fan. And if you haven't heard of Moondog, there's the Google, and you will be very, I hope that you'll be interested and, grateful. Moondog. It's Snake Time 4, cup of seeds or planets or fire pits and music and flames we lit at the river an arm around us, and the wild constellations, the hermit thrush and me, the stem, the bent bloom. If we could only, if the shore, once the galaxies offer themselves clear, clean, mattering our waters and our watering place, a luminous heat or the past or the blue shard, how slowly the old ice gives up. Death, when you come to me, may you come to me swiftly. I would rather not linger. And that last part I stole from Moondog. It was from one of his songs. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And just two more from Madrigals. Axe. I could hear it ringing in the valley, on the backs of the leaves, the Labrador tea. Afternoons I spent in the meadow, girl bent at the waist, and a chorus of wood frogs. Evenings, the sky split, you and your wrist bones, your palm prints. Even after this many nights, it comes as a surprise. Something is always slicing through, always the sacrifice, the offering at the feet, stirring the dogwood, the candle, a silver flame, at the meadow's edge, the shining blade. Yeah, that's it. Weird little prose poems. Horsetail. Your hand on either side of my face, and the face held there. One moment, a hint of the coming rain, a cool wind in the field, vascular. Through the first autumn frost, through the loam and arable land, I sense the snow, how it all happened long ago. Your hands on the shoulders now, the back. And how I loved you, riverbed, glacier. If my breath could rise like stems, 3 blue moose in the mist, 3 sets of white antlers, the shooting range, the quiver, a plow. Okay, and this will be the last poem that I share with you. And I'm just so grateful, all the beautiful voices we got to share together tonight. And, keep the faith, and together we really can, and you've given me some, real hope. And I'm super grateful. Little prose poem called Allowance. The striped bee, the horsehair beadwork. Yes, the tips of the ribs, the owl, the river, wrapping the ankles. Yes, yes, over the ridge. Under the nails, the condor circling, the lens trained on itself. At the back of the head, the striped feather, still explosions, the lobes, the substrate, yes, the dog hair, hide, the keychain, the hummingbird bill, that manner in which you looked at me, yes, yes, did the palm open, did the sweat trickle down off the forehead, that which was other, inside. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Something just occurred to me. I feel compelled to say it. There are actually guys in this book. Somebody pokes Paul Corbin Roberts to see if he's one of them. There really are. Much the same as my series, not as many of them, but they're unique and they're there. So thank you all for coming so much. Thank you for all of the poets who contributed. Honestly, thank you to Doug, who I volunteer for a lot of things. And he sort of either cheerfully or not accedes to my demands. It's sort of lovely. Thank you to the San Francisco Public Library. In spite of occasionally doing things that really piss me off, they also just completely without editing let me do whatever I want with this hour and a half. They may not actually go watch it afterwards. That may be why they let me do it. But it's a thing, and we get to do this and gather and have poetry, and we do it every month. So come back for other things. There's some great stuff coming up later this year. Thank you to Mike and Kenny, who I haven't seen tonight, but the AV department treats us very well. So if for some reason you want to revisit moments of this reading or other readings that we've had, they film a lot of them. When they don't film them, they record them. When they don't do either, they apologize. And finally, give yourselves a hand. I'm not going to say it's pointless without an audience, but it sort of, it's less tasty without an audience. Once again, Carla, Jen, Tanish, Carla, and Caroline. Awesome reading. Thank you so much. Sarah, you are an amazement. Oh, and happy birthday, Elisa, who is not here, but happy birthday. Take care, guys. See you next month.